Okay, today I'm actually kind of excited about this. Today we're going to talk about kind of a cultural hot topic, but really important. And it's the whole conversation about, bridging the cultures.
Yes.
What does it look like to actually bridge the cultures? I have with me today Yamil Acevedo, who has become and is becoming even more so a good friend. And we've been meeting together about once a month. Actually, with a third, there's another guy that joins us too, who is actually a minority as well. And we, not for the purpose of multicultural stuff, we literally just been getting together to
That's
hang
right.
out and learn. But this has actually been really helpful as a byproduct of bridging that cultural divide.
Mm-hmm.
Jamil here is been in the United States for how long now?
3 years and a half.
3.5 years. And he is working on his PhD at...
Yeah, at TEDS, the Trinity Evangelical Divinity School.
Yep.
Working on my PhD in intercultural studies.
Right. So whether he wants to be called this or not,
Yeah.
he kind of is an expert in the
Yeah.
field of, or becoming an expert in the field, maybe.
Yeah.
Is that-
Well, yeah, maybe. I
Maybe.
guess. Yeah, there are lots of experts out there. So
For sure.
Yeah.
In this whole thing. And so it's great to have somebody that is really giving a massive portion of their life to helping us figure out how to do this better. And then for me, just to get to learn from on a regular basis. And so here's the big thing. And then I'm going to let him just talk a bunch and we'll have a good conversation. I have found for me as a pastor, so I'm a pastor of a fairly large church, multiple campuses, but I'm also just a regular North American human, that lives in a neighborhood with neighbors that are from other parts of the world.
That's right.
From Egypt, from Guatemala, from Puerto Rico. And I want to do a better job of bridging that cultural divide. How do I get to know these people better? So I've done some recon, I've read a bunch of books, I've been to some conferences, and this is how it actually plays out. And I bet you have been through things that probably feel similar. It is almost shame-shaping material. So most of the material at conferences you go to are just constantly saying, don't do this, don't do that, this didn't work, this is bad. And it feels a little bit like, I played football for a while in high school. It feels a little bit like, I've got a playbook and the coach is saying, go win the football game, go win the football game. He hands me the playbook, I open it up, and all of the plays coming from my superiors, not all, but most of the plays coming from my superiors, most of the books that I'm reading, to go win this game are all plays of what not to do. So don't do this play, don't do this play, don't do this play, don't do this play. Don't do this one, it's going to make you look really bad. This is going to be really offensive.
Yeah.
So then the coach is like, no, go win the game, go win the game. Go build these relationships, go make a difference, go be multicultural.
I got you.
And it's like, okay, all I know is what I'm not supposed to do. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I really do want to love the people next to me. I really do want to have a church that is even more, culturally blended. And Jamil and some of these conversations just really opened my eyes to things that I can actually start doing.
Yeah.
And so Jamil, just walk me through a little bit. And this is literally an introductory video.
Yeah.
Now, there's highly likely we will do more of these
Hopefully,
answering questions.
yes, yeah.
So just if you have somebody who wants to bridge the cultural divide, they desire that in their heart, what kind of conversations should they have?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that we have to frame this conversation in the context of the church. So we are talking about a church that is already committed,
Right.
that it's searching, that they have a heart for multicultural environment, that they are observing their surroundings and seeing that, yes, it is an increasingly diverse community around us. So with that framework, and I think that we need to approach this conversation. So I understand the feeling of the playbook with the don'ts.
Yeah.
The playbook with the don'ts, it's just,
Right.
It's good to have it, but then what do I do? What should I
Right.
do?
Right.
And you just said something very important, conversations.
Right.
So what we're gonna provide here or talk is no silver bullet.
Right.
This is not even the playbook of the do's,
Right.
because connecting with people cross-culturally, it's messy,
Right.
it's very intriguing,
Right.
could be challenging,
Right.
but it's very rewarding
Right.
because it helps us to to even understand the gospel on a
Right.
deeper level,
Right.
and also to live the gospel,
Right.
how it's supposed to be lived. So conversations, yes. When we enter into a conversation with someone from another culture, and let's say that we belong to the dominant group,
Mm-hmm.
and we come with lots of assumptions.
Right. Right. Yes.
Yes, we come with lots of ideas that have been instilled there through media,
Right.
through Hollywood, through movies.
Right.
So first, we need to understand that we come not with a tabla rasa,
Right.
not with a blank slate, but with our own cultural baggage and lots of assumptions. So the first step, I would say, it's an internal acknowledgement of what we don't know,
Right.
and an approach of humility and humbleness.
Right. I would say, just to throw this out there too.
Yeah.
One of the big things when I started spending time with you and Todd, now of course I've always found other people groups and cultures intriguing. I mean, even as a little guy,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. But I did find that the first posture that I have to take is one of my heart.
Mhm.
Right.
That's
So
right,
I
yeah.
have to decide in my heart that what I learn from you or from Todd or people that are of a different cultural group, that I am not right and you're wrong,
Mhm.
or even that you're fully right and I'm fully wrong.
Mm.
It's that we together get a better picture of humanity.
Mhm. That's right.
And so,
Yeah.
like, I think I'm discovering, I mean, even in those early conversations, it's just pulling up in the parking lot and going, I am going to assume the posture
Mhm.
of a learner.
Mhm.
And I want that.
Yes.
Like, those heart positions are really important.
That's right.
So instead of being like a guarded posture, it's like an open-handed, I want to learn, I want to grow.
That's right.
I want to know what makes you tick,
Yeah.
and how you have learned about God through your lens in life. Yeah, so that posture of the heart, I think, is huge.
Absolutely. It is huge. It is huge. So we come to that conversation, we come to that engagement with that posture. So that's now that posture also has a name.
Right.
Yeah, and depending on the scholar that you're reading, they have different names. But Craig Sturdy will say that that's the honeymoon phase,
Yeah.
and the cycle of adaptation, of cultural adaptation. That's being unconscious of my incompetences.
Right.
So as long as we keep that humble state, that posture of the heart, we're in good shape to start.
Right.
So we think about what to ask, how to engage, and we think about usually from a Western perspective, we usually think of an agenda. This is what I need to accomplish.
Dude, I was so guilty of that.
This,
Right.
this is what I want to accomplish in this conversation. This is what I want to, to convey or
Right.
to listen. And usually that's not helpful.
Right.
Yeah. Being more organic, being more spontaneous.
Right.
And actually having an interest for the other.
Right.
So it's like, yes, the posture of a learner, very humble, but having a genuine, authentic interest
Right.
for the other, right? So let's say again, we're from majority culture, engaging to a minority group, visiting the church. This,
Right.
so I don't know, young family, small family, minority just came through our doors, and we just want to acknowledge them, approaching them, talking to them, just the hi, that you're welcome, the how long you've been here, good to see you, is this your first time, I'm sorry, may I know your names, introduce ourselves. Those are the normal ethics.
Right.
Now the thing is that for minority groups, and also depending on the culture, right, of that minority group, that is still very
Superficial.
very superficial, very
Right.
shallow.
Right.
And we might go home saying that's a win, and actually that was very superficial, or
Right.
or could have even been perceived as the person was obliged to,
Right.
or
Right.
it was an awkward moment, right?
Right.
So it is not a one-time thing.
Yep.
it is a journey.
It is
So,
a journey.
So that's my next point.
Right.
So come with humbleness, come with a posture, come with a position of learner. Be conscious of our, let's say, our incompetences when we approach other, but at the same time, okay, this is a journey.
Yeah, be prepared for the journey.
Be prepared for the journey.
Yeah.
So I would say to everyone that wants to engage cross-culturally,
Right.
and thrive and make the gospel beautiful in our midst,
Right.
to join the journey.
Okay, so at this point, I mean, if I'm looking back even over our relationship, posture of the heart, I want to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blind about things I don't even know I'm blind about.
Yeah.
And as I learn more about my blindness,
Mm-hmm.
you realize this is going to be a journey. This isn't 2 meetings with Yamil and Mike.
That's right.
This is an actual friendship that has to be developed.
That's right.
And there's got to be grace on both sides.
That's right.
And humility in the posture of a learner. So I commit to not just assume the posture of a learner, but I also commit to the journey.
To the journey. That's
Now,
right.
what kind of conversations, at least to begin
Yep.
these, what kind
Yep.
of conversations should we have?
Yeah. Once we are committed to the journey, then we start thinking about what are the interests, what are the, let's say, the values,
Right.
what are we could say the rituals, the celebrations, the symbols
Right.
that other
Right.
that other minority, that culture, that friend of mine, that new friend of mine values and embraces,
Right.
and asking straight questions or very direct questions about, okay, tell me about your rituals, will be very detrimental. Will be just like that's a no-no. That's in the no-no playbook.
Yeah.
Okay, so because ritual, per se, it's a
Right.
weird word.
Right.
So let's talk about family.
Right.
Let's talk about family. So how do you do for birthdays? How do you celebrate birthday parties?
Right.
How do you celebrate anniversaries?
Right.
What did you do on vacations? Where did you go this summer? What are you gonna do this next weekend, long weekend during the holidays?
Right.
And try to listen and try to understand what's behind what's behind those things that we perceive through our senses.
Yeah.
Because through our senses we perceive, they meet as a family, they eat a lot. So why do they meet as a family? Why there are like 50 people there to celebrate
Right.
a 5-year-old birthday party?
Right.
So tell me more about that. Why celebrate, and who was there? And if you get the chance to be invited, never invite yourself. Wait for someone to invite you.
Right.
But if you get a chance to be there, just as an observer, as a learner,
Right.
So that conversation about beyond of what I am observing below those circles, those outside spheres that I can observe through my senses. What's down there? Because every culture has the core value, has
Right.
core worldviews
Right.
that are implicit,
Right.
are hidden, and it is difficult to just engage in a conversation and talk
Right.
and ask someone. So, what's your worldview? What are your values, right? So conversations that are genuine, honest, vulnerable, that we start to understand the differences,
Right.
which will move us then to the next stage of our adaptation cycle,
Right.
which is now understanding, there are differences.
Right.
And I am aware of some, but not of all.
Yep.
And in order for me to understand, what are those differences, I'll need to ask conversations. Yeah.
So the word why is okay. And I think that was, man, I don't know, Jamil, I mean, I'm so grateful for you, because the more we spend time together, the more I feel like it's okay for me to ask,
Oh, absolutely.
why?
Yeah.
Why is this a big deal? Or how, like, here's a good example that I just learned the other day when we were meeting together. When we spend time together, or we want to set up a time to get together,
Yeah.
I have my admin set it up. Well,
That's right,
from your
yeah.
culture,
Yeah.
that feels impersonal. Well, I came from Dallas, Texas, right? And so I'm in this large, very professional church, And when I meet somebody and I'm going, man, I'd love to get together and grab a cup of coffee with you, if they say, oh yeah, we ought to do that sometime, what they actually mean is no in a cordial way. If somebody's really serious that they want to get connected with me, they'll say, you know what, here's my card, call my admin, we'll get it scheduled.
Yeah.
So having an admin schedule it, to me, meant you actually matter.
Yeah.
But when I say, when I was initially getting connected with you, I'm like, I'm gonna have my admin schedule this. What I was saying to you, I'm saying you matter, but what you're hearing is you don't.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that.
Yeah. There are certain nuances to it, and that's right. Because when we talk about culture and when we talk about differences and all that,
Right.
there are so many things and variables that come into the
Right.
equation. So I also have a background that it's a professional background in the banking industry. So I sort of understand having an assistant that will help
Right.
connect or make it happen. But it is also true that to make it personal and
Right.
actually feeling more valued,
Right.
a good question to ask would be, so how should we do this?
How should we do this? Yeah.
So how should we
Yeah.
do this? Hey, we would like to connect. I would like our families to connect. Oh, that'd be great. So how should we do this?
Yeah.
And we just wait for that other person, in particular if it's from other culture, to
Respond.
to respond and tell us.
Yeah.
Oh, so let's exchange emails or talk. Let your wife talk to my wife, or let your assistant, or let's just exchange right now. Let's just take a look at the calendar and take it from there.
Right.
Right, and not assume that the other person will understand your background. Yes, of course.
So, okay, so at this point we've got posture of the heart matters a ton.
Yeah.
So you have to adopt this idea of I'm not superior, better, whatever. Like
Yeah.
we are all humans, all learning from each other, and we all, especially we're talking about Christianity, so
Yeah.
we're looking at how Christianity has shaped you, the lens. I mean, it all gets better. So I show up at these meetings and I go, God, give me a posture of humility, a teachable spirit. We also realize that it is a journey.
Yes.
So posture of the heart, and it is a journey. And then embracing just those ritual questions, the value questions, the practices, the heroes is another one that you've talked about
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
You know, who are the heroes, your heroes, and why? And then really embracing that word why, why, and being okay with each other, knowing that I might say something, or like scheduling a meeting, I might do something a little bit
Right.
offensive without even
Right,
meaning
right,
to.
right, yeah.
It's just going to happen.
Could
So
happen,
like
yep.
a level of grace. And then I love that thought too of just going, I mean, that's that question of going, hey, I'd love to learn more, I'd love to grow more. How do you think we should go about that?
Yes, absolutely. And those dimensions that you've mentioned and that we've talked about, those dimensions are based on research.
Right.
You know, those are not coming out of the top, from the top
Right.
of my head. There are good researchers there, just as Geert Hofstede or even Scott Moreau, James Pludeman.
Right.
Good scholars from those, even Christian, Scott Moreau being a Christian, and James Pludeman as well. I'm not sure about Hofstede, but being entrepreneurs as well. So those researchers, they've been around, they've been acquainted with this material, and they have created an ongoing conversation exploring what are the dimensions of a culture, because culture, just defining culture is very difficult. The culture has, the communication cross-culturally has spiritual elements, has biological elements,
Right.
social elements, racial elements. And those dimensions that they talk about are the core being the values,
Right.
and then going from the core out, we can talk about symbols and heroes, rituals and practices, which are things that we observe
Right.
through our senses. And even though we would love to jump straight into
Right.
asking those questions, I will argue not to.
Right.
I will suggest that just spend time, be authentic, and try to learn and understand. Okay, what are then those rituals? When we talk about heroes, it could be very awkward, for someone to ask me. So, what are your heroes?
Right.
I will immediately try to go and find the question behind the question. Why is that person asking me that? What's the right answer? I know.
What's the right answer?
The right answer,
Yeah.
and I won't fail if I say Jesus. Of course, you won't miss.
Well, I do like him. I mean,
yes, that's right. So that's, but so asking, what's your heroes? So it's more like, let's say, what do they watch on TV?
Yeah, huh.
What are this, when they watch sports, when they wear a shirt, what do they wear?
Right.
What do minorities value in terms of, and we're talking about heroes, value in terms of holiday celebration?
Yeah.
What does this particular day means for them?
Right.
What do they celebrate that? Is there someone behind them? Is there someone that they understand that is a good, that reflects pretty well what they
Right.
want to become or what they admire?
Yeah.
So yes, it's complex, but it's doable.
It is doable.
It is doable.
It is
right?
doable. I love that idea of, I mean, if I look at this, and of course, we're not even going to scratch the surface of
Yeah.
all that's there even today. But if you look through this, I love the idea of posture of the heart.
Yes.
We have to pause and be aware of the posture of our heart. Do I really have a humble, teachable spirit?
Yes.
Two, realize that it will be a journey. And on that journey, you're going to say things that are accidentally. It's almost like you got to start the journey going, Jamil, I might say something stupid. Just please forgive me if I do.
You're good, man. Come on, shoot.
And then, yep, and that's exactly how it kind of goes. And so, but then just that posture of the heart, knowing it's going to be a journey, making time for it.
Yeah.
And then I love that idea of beyond that, even just being okay with the question why. So, okay, you said this. Why did you say that? Or, I mean, that's how the whole scheduling appointments thing came up. I don't remember. You said something that made me think, oh, interesting. And it's just the whys back and forth that led us to, a cultural thing that was a little different.
That's
and I was
right.
like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And so I love that posture of the heart. It's going to be a journey. Embrace the word why.
Yeah.
And then, just committing to do life together and,
That's right.
and moving forward.
That's right.
And anything else that you would just, and again, well, I'm going to do this. If you guys have any other questions or comments, Jamil and I have no problem doing more of these. And so,
No problem at all.
No problem at all. And so we would love to even answer some of those. And by answer them, I mean he'll answer them because he's the actual expert. But we'd love to dialogue even with people
Absolutely.
because we want to do this right. Sunday morning should not be the most segregated time in America. It really ought to be the body of Christ. We ought to see the end of Revelation happening in our churches.
Absolutely.
Every tongue, every nation, every tribe coming together by the glory and grace of God, this wonderful mosaic of his creation. And so I love it. So I just encourage you, man, start with that. Let's see if I can remember all these again. Posture of the heart.
Yes.
It's going to be a journey. Embrace the word why a lot with grace with each other.
Right.
And then the last one is just that authentic time, like authentic conversation. And even some of these, I'll probably have Zach's doing the media stuff. Put some of these up there, just things to generate some conversation. And then don't hesitate to email. I'll have an email put in the link below. Or put in a link below and email us questions if you have them, and we'll try to answer more.
Yep. Yeah. Looking forward, to what's next, and
Anything you want to add before we sign off here?
I think that we have a good kickoff. A good start here. I will also encourage people to not only ask the why to the other, but also try to answer to themselves, why am I committing myself to this?
That's good.
Yes, and try to go beyond because the Bible says so.
Right.
Because there are many other variables.
Right.
There should be more.
Right.
In terms of my commitment to why do I want to embrace a multicultural worldview for my church that express the beauty and the wholeness of the gospel together.
One thing, and I know we're stretching this video out a little bit, but one thing, the why, that's a great thought. The why for me is growing as we grow together. Yeah. And one thing that I'm discovering is this makes me a little emotional. I'm becoming more whole as a person when I see the gospel and even purpose and epistemology and how people come to, like all of that philosophy. when I see it through the lens of other people and other cultural groups, it helps me understand myself better. It helps me understand God better. It really is making me a more whole person. And I want that more kind of in a selfish way. Hopefully that's, because it is making me a better person, and it feels good to drive home from a meeting going, oh man, the gospel's alive in a bigger way that I didn't think about. Or, oh man, there's a part of my heart that needs to grow, and I didn't know that. And so the why is getting bigger and better for me still.
It is for me as well. It is for me as well. Because it works two ways.
Yeah.
It's not something that that we should think that it's only in favor of the other.
Right.
It's just, it works through both ways, and
Right.
and the Holy Spirit also within the church. And I think we've talked about this. I'm going to paraphrase C.S. Lewis here,
Right.
saying that we are unable on our own to expand and enhance ourselves as humans.
Right.
We need others,
Right.
to do that. In order for us to grow, in order for us to expand, to have new lenses, new horizons, we need others.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do it on our own.
Oh, that's true. And I see that as truth more and more the more we meet.
Yeah.
That's a good word. I love that. Oh, well, thank you so much for tuning in. And I mean, and again, we just scratched the surface. Jamil has tons more that he could share. But if you have questions, again, click the email below. Let us know. We'd love to do our best just to help you, mirror the gospel even better with your neighbors and in your church context too.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll talk to you soon.